Hello and welcome to the Watch Kaki channel, where we bring you all the good and honest watch reviews. If you haven't done so, I'd like to take this time to remind you, please click the like and subscribe buttons because I've got new videos uploaded every week for all my viewers. And in today's video, we're going to do a full review of the Casio Mini Casioak that I unboxed a few weeks back, and this model is the GMA-S2100. Of course, no one will really remember the reference number, so I'm just going to refer to this watch as the Mini Casioak, alright, throughout this video, because that's what it is. Most G-Shock fans out there, they've given this very nice, endearing nickname to this watch here. So the Mini Casioak, it was launched sometime earlier this year, and during the launch I think there were 3 or 4 other color combinations. So this one being the very conservative, stealthy black with rose gold trim. I think there is one white version. There should be one that is rose gold, I think, or pink. Alright, so, and it is obvious that these watches, they are targeted at women. Alright, so it is, mainly a watch for women, but guys, alright guys, don't be afraid to give this watch a try, because I think it does work very well for people out there who are looking for a different type of G-Shock, alright? G-Shock that has a different look and feel to it. And of course, this watch, it was designed and made to pair up with the bigger brother, which is the GA-2100. That one, is known as the original Casioak, and I think for a long time it was out of stock, and people were actually selling it at a premium sometime in 2020. I think mid-2020, the GA-2100 Casioak, I think it went as high as Singapore dollars about $300, I think, because everywhere it was out of stock. So this one here would be a very good couple watch with the GA-2100, but as it is, I think on its own it does have plenty of merits as a watch on its own. So with the lens zoomed in a little bit, let me just run through with you the important specs of this watch here. The case here is about 43.5 millimeters. We're talking about the furthest distance here from left to right. That's inclusive of all the bumpers and case guards and bezels. It's also got a thickness of 11.2 millimeters, measuring from the base of the steel case back to the top of the bezel here. Let me just repeat that. It is 11.2 millimeters. Okay, so how often do you see a G-Shock with this kind of thickness or thinness? Alright, so typically a G-Shock would be more than 15 millimeters thick here. Alright, so this is a really standard looking G-Shock. Okay, so people who are used to G-Shocks, this kind of thickness feels more at home. And this one here, 11.2 millimeters. I think there are many dress watches out there that are actually thicker. So also interesting to note that it's got a relatively big crystal size for a G-Shock. Crystal size here is about 30 millimeters. Alright, so the proportions of this watch is closer to a normal watch out there, as opposed to a watch, a G-Shock, which typically has a very big case but proportionally smaller dial size or diameter. So this one here is an analog and digital watch. It's got a really small display here, digital display, and I think the main idea of this watch, the main design idea, is to have it as an analog 2-hander or 3-hander, not so much of a analog digital, because the display here, frankly speaking, is just way too small. The Mini Casioak retails at Singapore dollars 159, and I think at this moment you can get it at a very small discount through retail shops and authorized dealers and all that. So typically this one goes for about 140 Singapore dollars. I think a slight discount from retail price if you buy it from the right vendor. And before I go on with the review, I'm just gonna put in some other G-Shocks for size comparison, because I really feel that this is the smallest G-Shock I've seen to date. Alright, so first up, of course, is my daily wearer, which is the GA-700. I've got a few color combinations of this watch here, and just one look and you'll be amazed at how small this watch is. So in terms of case size and thickness, and also the length. Alright, so there's no lug to lug per se, but the length of the watch is also significantly smaller than many of my G-Shock watches. Alright, so I'm going to put in another watch, alright, that is more familiar to a lot of G-Shock fans out there. So this is the 5600. So this one here is the GWB, I think. Alright, so GWB 5600, and this one here is the digital camouflage. I also bought this one recently, so it is even smaller than the 5600, as can be seen from the case length. Alright, so in other words, the lug to lug here is even smaller. Alright, it's also a little bit thinner, and in fact, the only watch or the only G-Shock that I've seen that is smaller is my wife's Baby G. Alright, so this one here is the BGD 500, I think, and this is the only watch that feels smaller than the Mini Casioak. Alright, so that's really how small the Mini Casioak really is. And right after the unboxing, I was actually shocked to find that this watch only weighs 41 grams. Okay, so again, let's do some comparison with more familiar G-Shock. Okay, the 5600 here is about 53 grams, I think, on strap, 55 or 53 grams, but this one here is even lighter. Alright, 41 grams, and when I was wearing this watch, I always feel that I'm not wearing any watch, and I think that's really a great feeling. Alright, so I kind of like very lightweight watches these days, because you know, at the end of the day, you don't feel very tired from wearing a 200-gram diver with bracelet and all that. So 41 grams, wow, feels really good, even if you were to wear it for a long day. And now let's do a very quick run through of the design and build quality. So on a whole, the Mini Casioak, I would say it is very basic, very simple, and for me it just feels very plasticky, if that's the word to use. Alright, I know G-Shocks are mostly about plastics, but this one here, everything is plastic, from the buckle even down to the buttons here. Alright, so everything feels very plasticky over here. The only things that are not plastic would be, of course, this case back here, which is shallowly engraved. Alright, and of course, you know, things like the spring bars and screws. I don't think you can use plastic for these parts here. So let's come back to this inscription on the case back here. So it says carbon core guard. I believe this is like some sort of a new construction method. I've mentioned this one in the unboxing video. So I think this technology sort of allows the case to be thinner. Alright, so I don't know what kind of material they've put inside the mid case or the actual module. So I believe this allows for a thinner watch, because the GMA-S2100 is also a rather thin watch as compared to, you know, the other analog digital watches. Right, these things are like what, 17, 18 millimeters total thickness. So over here the difference is night and day. So I do believe that the carbon core technology has got some effect on the overall case thickness. So now let's move on and talk about the overall dial design. So this one here, of course, it follows very closely to the GMA-S2100. I do like the rose gold markers and all the accents here very much. Okay, so I think it's a really nice contrast from the overall stealthy look here. Alright, so it is of course meant for women, but I think not a problem at all if a guy wears this one. So if you're looking at the pink version, I think that'll be a bit too much, okay, unless you are specifically looking for a pink watch. But I think overall the rose gold markers work very well here, and the overall dial design is very simple. Two hands, markers, and a sub dial at 9 o'clock. So in timekeeping mode, it would display the day of the week. Alright, so right now it's on Tuesday, and at the 3 to 6 o'clock area would be this LED display, and I think you can toggle between the date, and of course there's a ticking seconds counter here. So overall a very clean design here. Alright, so not much bezel markings or printings and all that. So very simple dial, So the Mini Casioak does have lume hands, alright? There's lume painting on the minute and hour hand, so I'm going to charge up the lume with my UV torch and I'm going to switch off the lights and let's see how the lume performs. Alright, and this is how the lume performs in low light situations. So obviously Casio lume on budget models, I don't think they're anything to write home about. So but then again, you know, on a Casio watch, it is never about the lume. You've always got the LED light here. So as you can see here, once the LED is switched on, no issues at all, even though, you know, the lume doesn't work very well. And now let's have a look at the wrist shot of the watch on my wrist here. My wrist is 17 centimeters, so as you can see, it fits even smaller wrists very well. So I think if you get this watch, you can definitely share it with your wife or even your children. So I would say this watch is a very good purchase for not a lot of money, because the entire family can wear it. Very thin for a G-Shock. In fact, it's very thin for any watch, alright, at 11.2 millimeters. Hardly any lug gaps or lug overhangs, and it feels so good, alright, at 41 grams. Alright, I don't remember wearing a watch, you know, despite wearing it for the full day, you know, at work and things like that. So I would say fit wise, this watch here is just fantastic. And now let's look at the wrist shot of the watch on my wife's wrist. Her wrist is about 15 cm, just under 6 inch, and I think it fits her very well, this watch. So let's zoom back the lens a little bit as I take you through some of the functions of this watch here. So I do like the fact that the hands, they get out of the way when you're doing time adjustment. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So by depressing this button here, it will go into time setting mode, and you know, the hands here just get out of the way. Alright, so pretty clever technology here, and you can see that the time zone here is Singapore. That's where the watch Taki is from. So I just did a very quick time setting or time readjustment so that the hands are really out of the way, because I'm going to do a run through of the functions or the menu of this watch. So obviously this is in the usual timekeeping mode. I'm going to hit the mode button and we will enter the world time mode, and you can see the scrolling that this is the Paris time zone. I think you can toggle left or right, and oh, this is the light switch. So this is Rome and all that. So Berlin. Alright, so the next function is the stopwatch, which I actually use a lot on my GA-700 and GA-100, but I really don't think I'm going to use that function on this watch because the display is just way too small. But nonetheless, there is a stopwatch, and the next function will be timer. I think this is for timing your cooking the eggs or instant noodles. Next one here is alarm. I think there are 5 alarms here, and I don't use this function at all, but it's good to have this function available. And we are back to timekeeping mode. So I would say this one here, the functions here are pretty standard for just like any other analog digital G-Shock. So all in all, I would say the Mini Casioak GMA-S2100, it presents a different look or different feel to G-Shock analog digital watch, because obviously this one here is targeted at women, but I encourage guys to give this one a try as well, because I don't think, you know, it will look out of place, because if you strap it onto your wrist, it just looks like a smaller watch. Alright, very different flavor from the usual G-Shocks. Alright, this bulky, I don't know what you call this, giant bulky gadget on your wrist, and it even wears and feels smaller than the 5600. So, you know, it gives you a different feel and lets you see how different this new generation G-Shock models can be. Very thin, very lightweight, and you know, guys, you know, you really got to give this one a try before you dismiss it as a women's only watch. So there you have it. That was my full review of the Mini Casioak GMA-S2100, and I'm pretty sure in the near future Casio, they are going to launch many different color combis and limited editions and collaborations and whatnot, because this one here is pretty popular and I think they will see it as their cash cow, so they're not going to, you know, forget this model anytime soon. I would think it's a pretty good watch to have. All right, a new feel and a new look, new way of wearing your G-Shocks. All right, so no longer the bulky, crazy gadget type look, and most new models these days, they're getting thinner, using the carbon core technology and all that. So this could be the new look moving forward that Casio wants what their fans to wear. Alright, so obviously this one here is targeted at women, but again, I like to remind guys out there, the really macho guys out there, don't be afraid to give this model a try. And alright, so you know what's not to like, because this watch here, once you get it, the entire family can wear it. Alright, yourself, your wife, your daughter, your son, alright, your girlfriend, your grandmother. I think anybody can wear this watch. Alright, so this is the Watch Kaki signing off. We're from Singapore, and we've got George in the studio, and over here we've got Pixie. Alright, this being a women watch, so Pixie is a girl and she just wants to come around and, you know, be nosy and all that. So we're gonna say goodbye for now. Bye bye.